Here are 3 simple habits that bring more peace into relationships. First, number 1, pause before reacting. We know somebody can get on our nerves in a hot minute, but we're changing all that. That goes from what we, hear in conversation at work, at home, with our children. Just pause before reacting. Okay? Instead of reacting, we're going to respond. So now that changed from a action thing. Now we're going to move it to a communication thing. Now we're going to respond. And we're going to breathe. And we're going to pause. Okay? We're going to be like, woosah. You see that in Bad Boys? Woosah. You're going to woosah. Okay? And then you're going to hear what they said. And you're going to respond peacefully and respectfully. Your kids, I don't know if they smear that peanut butter on the wall. We might have a little bit of reaction, but how we respond and makes all the difference. Okay, so we might have to yell a little bit, but we'll respond and say, hey, help me clean this up, or make a game out of it. Who cleans it the fastest? Yeah. So do your best to pause before responding. Okay. Give yourself space to respond calmly. Like I said, that woosah. Please give yourself some space. Second, focus on understanding instead of the W word, winning. We want to win. We want to be right. The need to be right. Even if it means demolishing everything around us, we stand on top of the pile of fire because we won. That needs to go right now, okay? It's over. Okay? I think being understanding, asking why. Well, why is that? Now, the person can explain themselves, because sometimes we have our own ideas when we're in the midst of communication or a conflict. We have our own idea, like how we going to handle it. They got their own idea how they handle it or how it's coming across. But if we say why or how are you feeling, or stuff like that, why questions instead of you this, you that, you statements. That's not good. Okay? And I statements is not good. Asking questions for understanding and clarity is what's the best option for peace. Okay? Third, speak with intention. Okay? A lot of, when I'm sitting online, I think the number one thing that a lot of people have hangups with, women that have a hard time with the femininity or they don't exercise it, is the tone, which can be thought of as, disrespectful and, things like that. I know we don't want to be disrespected, but if you speak intentionally, like, please, I wasn't disrespectful to you. Can you not be disrespectful to me? See? Now, in a way, you're being aware of how they are. You're aware of how that made you feel. And now you're communicating in a peaceful manner how that made you feel. and asking them politely, don't do that because I didn't do that. As opposed to, I'm matching energy. I'm strong as a man. I can knock a man out too. Or like, you're wrong. Things like that. It just to get your point across. But you can do it in a feminine manner. And I think that we're not, doing it in a way that makes us emotionally intelligent. We're not exercising that. I don't think we know that we have that tool in our toolbox. But if the tools have never been there, if the tools have never been developed, we're gonna have we're practicing bad habits. But we want to be practicing more feminine habits that bring more peace into our relationships, because we're here to be here for a long time. Okay, we are reestablishing that generational longevity in our families, bringing the nuclear family back, bringing that respect for one another back by being what we want to see, being the change we want to see. So we have to develop these healthier habits, and that is communication, because one thing a woman can do is we can tear down some things with how we speak. If our intent is to make you pay with that, whatever, your words will be curated and it will do so. But if your intention is to have understanding, is to not to win the war, okay, not to win the battle, you will talk differently. You may not even speak at all in the moment because you're taking it all in to understand. Well, how do I move about it? Now if I do that, this might happen because last time I did that, things didn't go so well. So now we're using those tools. We're developing those habits. I admire the women that work with difficult men. And some men are difficult, but now they do good. They provide for their family and things like that. But just certain aspects of their personality is difficult. But I applaud. I've seen lots of women that were able to navigate a person's hard personality. But they're good people. But just is certain quirks. Everybody's not perfect, okay? But I applaud those women. And the women that I've seen in my life, even my mom, I applaud her for how she handled things. And I was like, I love that part of her femininity, you know what I'm saying? And I asked God to develop that in me as I watched her, because I'm opposite. I'm like my dad. And I'm like, little chihuahua. But I see that is not beneficial. I actually see that she has great peace habits and communication habits that has made the peace last over 43 years now. And that's a blessing. Hallelujah. This is what we want to do. We're trying to get to the end goal. We're trying to honor God. We're trying to bring in those tools of respect, understanding, peace, pausing before reacting and blowing up our own house. Okay? And because our tone matters more than our words. Our tone is is the impact of the word. Now we can say certain things like, but if a person can take it to heart in a good way or the bad way, the tone is the impact. The tone is the vibration, the frequency. Okay? So we want to be mindful of that as women, because we got some powerful tone. All right? That makes everything vibrate. That people may want to run and get away from you, okay? They'll be on the corner of the rooftop as the Bible said, from a nagging woman. So we really want to be mindful of that. And these small shifts of pausing, understanding, and calm intention with that communication does a wonders. Okay, and those small shifts completely change the emotional dynamic of the relationship, because I'm telling you, if you're not the problem, they'll see that they are. Their ways are the problem, but they'll say like, wow, you know, she really didn't lose her cool and things like that. And that's when the emotional safety comes in, and the apologies and making things right happen easier. We can get through the conflict faster instead of the lingering, the long periods of not talking, the silent treatments. You understand? So we have to do those skills. Small changes, all right, usually reaps big rewards. And that's what we're going to do. All right, hopefully you learned something today. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time.